This show is sponsored by NatureBox. Order great tasting, healthy snacks right to your door. Forget the vending machine and get in shape for summer with healthy, delicious treats like everything bagel sticks. Support this podcast and get 50% off your first month. Go to naturebox.com/MOHR. naturebox.com/MOHR. Enjoy.
Hello, podcast fans. Adam Carolla here. I'm leading the fight against patent trolls who are threatening this medium. It's not about me. It's about the podcast you're listening to right now. If I go down, this show could be next. Visit fundanything.com/patent troll for more information on how you can keep podcasting alive. Thank you and mahalo.
When shopping for car insurance, consider this. Geico has been saving people money on car insurance for over 75 years. So if you're serious about savings, it's simple. Go to geico.com. After 75 years, they know how to save you money.
Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or a woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game tape.
Donuts.
If you want a battle, it's either that you will or you won't.
You know, you're not a bad-looking man, Mr. Gals.
But you are, Blanche. You are in that chair.
There's something wrong with us. Something very, very wrong with us.
Hey, man.
Once again, my wife and I are in the car coming back from another fantastically successful comedy show. Showbiz. She writes it, I say it. It works out well. If you want to know where I'm performing, go to jmohr.com. And by the way, the meet and greets, the ladies are coming out en masse. Is that how you say it? En masse?
I would say en masse, but what do I know? I would say en masse, but...
En masse. Well, you know, you're smarter than I am.
Well, not when it comes to en masse.
En masse. But what I wanted to say is at the meet and greet where I sell my t-shirts, the lady tees are selling a lot. There's 2 lady tees, and you can get them at jmohr.com if you want to buy t-shirts, and email me, and I will email you back, jmohr.com. There's 2 lady tees. There's one, you don't need a cock to be in a cockfight, with pictures of fighting cocks, or roosters, I guess some people would call them. And then the other one is free fake mustache rides, both designed by you.
Yes, indeed.
So I want to thank you for bringing revenue into this fine family of ours.
My pleasure, my dear.
You are quite the idea person. So thank you all the ladies that support this podcast and support stand-up comedy. And
my filthy, filthy mind.
Well, you don't need a cock to be in a cockfight. You could be a gal and mix it up and throw some bows. You've never been in a fight, have you? Have you ever been in an actual fist fight?
No. I got punched once.
What?
I was a small child. Not small child. I was 13, and I was waiting for my mother to pick my baby brother and I. My brother and I are 9 years apart, so he was a little bitty boy. He was, on my hip. I was holding him, waiting for our mother to pick us up from a movie, and a gal walked by with her boyfriend. They were adults, and they walked around the corner, and the girl walked back around the corner and punched me. And then
why?
I looked like I deserved it.
Was she... All right, people need to know. There's 2 people like you, despite what you think. But to the listener, lesbians and horses. My wife told me when we first started dating, this is More Stories podcast with Nikki, Coxx again, another road trip. I have her trapped in the car, and I have forced her to record another podcast against her will. And this might not see the light of day because she will edit and vet and decide whether or not it's worthy. But you told me lesbians and horses don't like you, and I sicken
them.
And I didn't believe you. And then I'm not so sure story about lesbians because I haven't really seen you hanging out with lesbians.
Because they avoid me like the plague.
Well, how would they know that you're not a lesbian?
I don't know. I'm friendly. I smile. I say good day or hello. Or, if I'm introduced, a firm, hearty handshake is at hand. I don't know. Something about me, the very me of me, makes them ill.
But that seems right up lesbian alley, a firm handshake and a good day. That's what I read in the encyclopedia.
Right, one would think, but I'm an outlier in the lesbian community. I don't know why they don't like me. I have no problem with them.
And horses loathe you.
That's bad. Yeah, because that's actually physically dangerous.
You and I were in Manhattan, and you told me that horses didn't like you, and it was about 2 years had gone by, and I went with you into a Starbucks in Manhattan, and then we came out of the Starbucks, and there was a policeman sitting on a police horse, and from about a good 15 feet, the horse started throwing his head up and down, like, there she is, let's get out of here, and the policeman actually had to, control his horse.
Yeah, I'm like the Omen.
To horses only. Other animals like you a lot.
They're fine with me.
Except for, goats don't like you either.
Oh, they eat my clothing off. I've been to 3 separate petting zoos in my life. I've been to many, but on 3 separate occasions at a petting zoo, goats, they eat my clothes.
Well, don't goats eat everything?
Well, yes, in theory, but have you ever had your clothing eaten by a goat?
Do you carry, tin cans in your pockets, in your coats?
Nothing. I dress deliciously.
This, I'll say. By the way, this is a big, giant, that coffee cup is filled with pee. I peed in that coffee cup, so don't drink it, please. We're driving and I peed in the cup in the car, so please don't. That big shell coffee cup is filled with pee.
What if I feel like drinking pee?
Well, then we're going to get freaky, I guess. I don't know.
What if I feel like drinking pee but not yours?
Then I think you'd make a lot of money.
Huh.
A niche market. If you could get a tattoo, my beloved wife, that would only last 1 week, what tattoo would you get?
Well, you know this. I would get a tattoo above my personality that would say...
What's your person? What do you mean?
My vagina. That would say, if you lived here, you'd be home by now. Also, I think that it would be a delightful...
Hold on. If you lived here, you'd be home by now. The take on the famous billboards that dot our cities.
Right. Apartments and whatnot that are trying... apartments for let, which I still don't quite get. As opposed to rent, apartment for let. If you lived here, you'd be home by now. You'll see a sign. And of course, you don't want to live there. You don't want to be home by now because it's usually foul and in a disgusting part of town. At any rate...
Your vagina, I have to go on the record, far from foul and a delightful part of town.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's nice, honey.
It's the Beverly Hills of vaginas.
Aw, you silver-tongued fox. I would get, if you lived here, you'd be home by now, right above my birth canal. And then, of course, there's super hacky, I would get the golden arches to represent McDonald's. And I'd say, billions and billions served.
Now, how far off is that number? I know that's an exaggeration. Obviously, billions of men have not been...
No, God, no.
Inside your personality.
I'm not a disgusting whore. How far... 3?
3 billion?
No.
3.
Yeah.
So would it be billions? So if you were going to be truthful and had a tattoo above your vagina hole...
It would say almost.
Almost billion. Maybe just a billion served.
Nearly billions and billions.
Nearly billions and billions have served.
Yes.
I like your idea also of t-shirts, nude t-shirts for guys. I'm with stupid with an arrow pointing down to the penis.
Yeah.
That's your new brainstorm. And I'll give a shout out to our t-shirt guy, JR, in Phoenix, that does all these, and he's the best in the business, JR Customs. So
indeed.
We have more of those come. Oh, the other t-shirt idea you had that's coming soon is it's a lady T with an arrow pointing down to the vagina. And
I obviously have an obsession with the vagina. I'm just realizing.
Well, or merchandise sales because they're selling. And that one was if you don't have to go home, but you got to get out of here.
you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
With an arrow pointing to the hole.
Right.
Man.
Right. You know what? You can put it on the back for a manatee.
Oh, that's great. With like his butthole?
Yeah.
You believe that nobody really enjoys anal sex.
Well, I mean, I've spoken to many people about it. Men, women, gay men. Obviously not gay women.
Oh, so gay men have no problem with you. I know that for a fact.
No, yeah, because...
And I've met sorry to interrupt you, but this is important. I've met 3 gay men in your presence that absolutely wanted to have sex with you. One of which is the king of all gays, one Mr. Rufus Wainwright.
Ugh, my hero.
Yeah, mine too. And we saw him at a... Susan Sarandon has like a ping pong parlor in Manhattan, and he did a little benefit show there, and he only did like 3 songs, but then we like made sure we got to meet him because we idolize him. And the outro song to my radio show is Beautiful Child by Rufus Wainwright. So for all you jocks out there, you're listening to a gay guy every day and you didn't even know it. But Rufus Wainwright, when he met you, and you actually had to say to me like several times, did that really happen? Did that really happen? I was doing Law and Order Criminal Intent. That's why we were in Manhattan.
Right.
That's why we were there in the first place.
Yes.
And when Rufus Wainwright met you, and for the listener that's not familiar with his work, do yourself a favor. He's the greatest singer-songwriter, period, ever, of any time.
Indeed.
And he's the gayest human being ever.
Oh, but he's gorgeous.
He's like a gorgeous guy, and he writes like gay love songs, and like The Art Teacher, and Rufus the Baptist, about songs about being baptized in cum, and people will demand my head, and I'll get down and give it to them, looking down. But Rufus Wainwright looked at your eyes, and then your boobs, and then your waist, and your pants, and then he looked at your high heels that were about 15-inch high heels, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
You looked like you were in Kiss.
Yes.
Man.
I was for a while, but that's not the story.
Were you the spaceman, or were you the cat?
Starcat.
You were Starcat?
Mm-hmm.
And Rufus Wainwright, absolutely. And I know because I'm a man, and I know how men look at women, like when you're a wolf looking at like a cartoon character hot dog. He looked at you and...
Just like a cartoon character hot dog.
Yes.
That might be the kindest compliment I've ever received.
He wanted to devour you. And it was first of all, it was very strange because he's obviously gay and he's married to another man, a gay man. I think that's kind of how it goes. But, and for like weeks afterwards, you're like, he did, right? Like you found...
Well, I felt as if it was a dream of some sort because I love him so much, and I've often said to you, do you think I'm like a gay guy, like trapped in a lady body?
Yes.
I don't want to have anything done about it. I don't want to have surgery or anything, but sometimes I have said to you many times throughout our lives together, do you think of a gay dude stuck in a lady body?
Yeah, and I always say it on stage, my poor wife has the libido of a 15-year-old gay boy. And
also the way I think. Like, I hate crying, and I don't want to talk about feelings.
Well, that's guy. I don't know if that's gay guy as much as like guy.
Oh, all right then. Fair enough.
But you're all like musical theater, and of course we're speaking in generalities.
Absolutely.
We're completely whitewashing gays and straights, which is fun. But you love musical theater. You like Anne Sexton poetry. You love Dorothy Parker. Like your likes are right in the gay wheelhouse.
Yes, indeed.
And you're not like a soccer mom with an Astro van, doing regular gal stuff. This is very
no. I make a very poor lady. I make a very poor stereotypical gal.
Yeah, you do not like to cry ever.
No, I don't. Unless I'm getting paid for it, or I'm alone.
And you do not like talking about feelings. You will not go to therapy. Not that you need it, but the thought of it, you always say, like, what am I going to sit down and fucking...
A psychological, archaeological dig?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm an old woman. I've gotten this far, and I'm still alive. The shit that's buried in there, let it be.
Let it be! And you say it like a guy. You'll say, what am I going to talk about, my fucking feelings?
Yeah, I feel like a fucking asshole. Like, here's a Kleenex. Tell me how you felt.
Well, how do you feel? How do you feel right now?
A little hungry?
I'm hungry too, actually. We've been driving for like 19 hours. Horses hate you, lesbians hate you,
yes.
Gay guys want to have sex with you, and you completely confuse them and confound them. Also, this is very interesting for the dear listener to know. Hey, by the way, listener, the fact that you guys have been hitting that Amazon banner at jmohr.com.
Thank you.
Yes, you're putting our children through college, and that's important and great. We don't see any of that money. It's direct deposit. Email me. You know what? Now that she's on the podcast, you can email us at jmohr.com. Tell us what you bought and why, and then we will read it on the podcast. But I am driving with my wife by my side, so I'm unable to open up my laptop and actually read one of those. But just please know they will get read, and we do read all of them. We do respond to all emails.
We actually do.
We do, and it's appreciated. So gay women hate you.
Yes.
Straight or gay horses. How do gay horses? What about a lesbian horse? It would just combust.
I think it would just run me over and then it would explode. It would run me over, trample me flat like a cartoon, and then I think the horse itself would spontaneously combust of hate.
Gay men you make very uncomfortable because they get confused because they're gay and they want maybe penises and assholes and mouths, but then when they see you, there's no really clean way to say it. They all of a sudden are suddenly interested in you and your...
Well, I have a mouth and an asshole.
That is true. One of those orifices does not get used.
No.
Because you don't think people... Because there's people out there that say, like, oh, I love it. Women will say...
Right. Those are usually the same women that are, like at Dave & Buster's, and, they're going like, let's have a purple hooter, and let's fucking make out. But they're not going to go home and lunchbox. They're doing it because they want attention from men that are at Dave & Buster's, which, all in all, I mean, do what you will, but that whole scenario I just find so sad.
But you have said to me that
gay men will often say, nobody likes anal sex.
But you all have also said that men would enjoy anal sex more than women.
Because they have an actual prostate. There's something there to be rubbed, aroused. We don't have that as ladies. So
what's it? It's just an empty, wallered out area? Like it's just a cave?
Well, it's not really a cave because I don't think it ends. It's attached to intestines, large and small. So I don't think that it's just like. I don't think it's like a tent. I don't think you just go. There's no stop there, stopgap.
Right. Yeah.
But there is I don't know, like a G-spot, I suppose, for men there.
Which is the prostate.
Correct.
Which is why I say all the time, like when I got my prostate checked, it was 95% ugh, and then 5% ooh.
Right, and why I've yet to meet a man who, if given truth serum, will say at some point in their lives they haven't either had or wanted at least one finger in their asshole.
I enjoy a little blood play, I'll be honest. I'm a man enough to admit it.
Yeah, most men are.
I don't want you to put on...
I'm not going to fist you.
Yeah, and I don't want you to put a penis on and strap it on and have sex with me.
No.
But if you're going to tickle or go around the area, now I'm uncomfortable.
Why?
I don't know why.
You're turned on, that's why.
Well, I've been sitting in this car so long, it probably like Burger King wrappers and floss down there at this point. It wouldn't be a nice thing for you.
Oh, like I care.
Yeah, that is true. You are game. So you confuse gay men, but you also confuse magicians.
Yes, I do.
Now,
I do.
This is great.
Penn and Teller one?
Either.
Okay. Penn and Teller, about 150 years ago, had a big program. Did you just fart?
No, it's the windshield wiper.
Oh, good Lord. It sounded like it, right?
It did.
It was a good one.
It was a windshield wiper fart.
I liked it. It sounded good. At any rate, it was. They had a show on one of the many networks that I don't know if it exists anymore. Whatever. It wasn't their show. Bullshit. That's great. It was like a live, hey, our big vaudevillian comedy show, and they would have celebrities, quote unquote, which is why I was there. And that's why the quotes were there, because I'm far from a celebrity. And they would have, it was at the MGM Grand in Vegas, which is a 3,000 seat theater. And I was supposed to walk out on stage, and I don't know if it was Penn. I guess it was Penn. And Teller was to the other side. He didn't say much. Weird. At any rate, they handed me a bowl of rice, and there was no prep. There was no. They didn't really tell me. They just said, "Hey, we're going to hand you a bowl of rice, and we'll laugh and wear something small and shiny, and it'll just be great. And there's this big audience, and blah blah blah." So they hand me this bowl of rice, and then they put a cover over it, and then they took the cover off, and it was filled with maggots.
Now, did it leave your hand at any time?
The bowl itself.
Right. So you were holding a bowl of rice. They put a cover over it, and then when they take the cover off,
it was maggots. Yeah. No, it didn't leave my hand. I don't know how the trick was played.
Was it impressive?
No.
Oh.
It was just rice, and then it was maggots. I don't give a shit. I mean, obviously it wasn't real. Obviously it wasn't real hocus pocus.
Oh, it's not real.
No.
Your fucking dopey husband. Oh, it wasn't real.
It wasn't real hocus pocus.
It was a hoax.
It was a total hoax.
Was that a hoax?
It was a hoax. It was a full-on hoax. So they took the sheet off of this bowl of rice, and I guess I was supposed to go, eek, or maggots, ew, and this 3,000 seat theater, they were all going to go, ew, gross, and I was going to act like a girl and just be so disgusted, and they wouldn't tell me what my trick was, because they wanted my big, real reaction, check out how we're going to freak this chick out. So they take the thing off, and it's a bunch of maggots, and I can see they're tiny. They're little baby clean. It's not like they're there's no rotting fruit or decaying meat.
I've never seen a maggot.
From whence you aren't looking at maggots growing or squirming around. It's just a bowl of little live maggots rolling around, and they're completely clean.
But I don't know what maggot. I've never seen a maggot just on TV. Like, how big is a maggot? And how would you know the difference between clean maggots and dirty maggots?
Well, it was not. It was a bowl of maggots, and they were completely
showbiz maggots.
Yeah, they all had SAG cards.
Little cards.
Yeah, little bitty SAG cards. After, probably, it was a while ago, and they're like flesh toned, like pale flesh toned, maybe like a half inch. They squirm. They don't have like faces or anything.
Right.
And how could I tell they were clean? I assumed that they were, because generally maggots that are foul they grow, and their usual hang is like cow dung,
a rotting corpse.
Yeah, right. Corpses, old like an old pot roast, things like that. And they
just one laying around.
But it was a bunch of them. It was a whole bit. It was
no,
a bowl of them.
The pot roast. Like, you said that like somebody would just leave a pot roast out. Like, just put it out in the yard. The pot roast.
Well, they do. I've just seen hoarders.
Fair enough.
So I was supposed to say eek, maggots, and it was this big like drum roll, and like I said, all these bizarre people, and why they're sitting there watching this bizarre thing take place was beyond me in the first place. But it was a free trip to Vegas. Why not? They lift off the sheet. It's maggots. I can see that they're not in a rotting pot roast. And Penn went, whoa, look at that. It's maggots. And I don't know what overcame me. I reached in, I grabbed one, and I ate it.
You ate a maggot?
Well, yeah.
How do I not know this? I make out with you all the time.
Well,
you have maggot mouth?
I've brushed since. I don't have a cavity. You're fine.
All right.
Yeah, and it kind of just crunched. It tasted like nothing. I mean, it wasn't like roiling and squiggling in my mouth or anything.
You picked up a maggot and ate it?
Yeah. And they had to call cut. And
why?
Because I think Penn Gillette, who we both agree is incredibly brilliant, I think he became the speechless one for a moment, because I don't think anyone expected this, dummy like me to walk out there, and I was supposed to be freaked out.
You say dummy, the audience says bombshell. There's like a red hot bombshell in skimpy outfits, and you're supposed to go, maggots!
Yeah,
Instead,
if you
eating
see
them.
a gal in a short skirt, with her boobs shoved up to her chin, generally you're going to see a bowl of maggots, and you're going to be freaked out. But I could see that these were they were fucking showbiz maggots. You could tell. And so
because they were complaining.
Oh, they were whining, and it was they wanted powder, they wanted a break. At any rate, they were showbiz maggots. I could tell they were clean without thinking. I stuck my hand in and I picked out a little bitty maggot, and I just went crunch, and I swallowed it, and Penn was quiet.
But you did it to make everybody laugh.
I realized later that that's what I was doing, but I didn't put thought into it, because obviously they didn't say, hey, it's going to turn into maggots. Mm-hmm. There was no thought involved. I just saw, hey, these are maggots. This isn't disgusting. I'll pick one out. I'll crunch it. I'll spit it out. Worst case scenario. Penn was quiet. The whole audience went quiet. I mean, you would have thought I murdered someone. They were aghast, and they yelled cut, and we had to do it again. And so then that time I had to hold the bullet Royce, and I had to lift the little sheet off, and I had to act like, whoa, maggots, how'd that happen?
I think the listener was probably thinking wow, I much rather would have seen the part where you ate the maggot. And I'm surprised the audience in the theater didn't go crazy laughing or
no, they were silenced, because most people are disgusted by such a thing, and in retrospect I probably would be too. But then I did speak with the maggot handlers later, like their agents or whatever, and they said these were lab-grown maggots, so they were never a part of anything rotten. So I was perfectly safe and fine. And like I said, there was no foresight, or I didn't think it through.
But you ruined their trick.
It was a television show, so they yelled cut, and we had to do it again. And on take 2, they said act surprised and disgusted. So I did my best.
Did Teller say anything about the maggots? Did you hear him talk at all?
Try to get him to stop talking. What a fucking chatterbox that one is.
What if when he does talk, he just does old speeches, 7 years ago.
He does.
That'd be amazing if he spoke just like an old Southern beau. It just sounded...
I'd like it better if he spoke Aramaic. Just something completely out of the woods. At any rate, that was my big magic trick there. And then there was a magician named Chris Angel. And I was doing a television show with him. And it was between takes, and he was, he's a magician that has a hairdo, that uses a
lot of product.
A lot of that wax product, so it lays over one eye.
Yeah.
And they peek up at you, and they purse their lips and whatnot.
Yeah, 80s metal band almost.
Right, except a lot more lip pursing. And it was some card thing where he said pick a card, and he whispers, and this was not for a show. This was between takes and hanging out. I guess maybe he was trying to show off.
What show was it?
The show Las Vegas.
Okay.
And I maybe he was trying to be cool, or I don't know if he was trying to impress me, but I don't know why he'd want to impress me. There's hot chicks behind me, but whatever. He did that. He said pick a card, and so I did. And then he shuffled the card, and then he pulled one out, and he goes, "Is this your card?" And it was, but I lifted one eyebrow, and the man actually became apoplectic, and he started sweating bullets, and he went, let me try it again. And he
So you didn't even say no?
I said nothing. I raised one eyebrow, and he became ghost white and thought he had fucked up his entire trick.
Wow. You got
with an eyebrow.
It's a powerful eyebrow.
No shit.
Have you always been able to lift one eyebrow? How old were you when you realized you had the power of one eyebrow to ruin magician tricks?
Well, I didn't know about the magician tricks, but I know I could lift one eyebrow because obviously I was force-fed, comedy, and I watched Belushi from the time I was born, so I knew that lifting one eyebrow is something that people found amusing.
Yeah, people don't realize you were raised like comedy veal by your mom, Big Mama Got It All.
My mommy.
And she would like sit you down and you guys would watch to get like as a child, like as a 10-year-old, you would watch Louis Anderson HBO specials, you would watch Steve Martin like over and over.
Steve Martin was it, yeah. Other kids would watch cartoons and I would, beg and plead to watch. There was one specific Steve Martin special that I would watch incessantly, like the way the kids watch Pokemon and shit that makes their parents crazy. I wanted to watch Steve Martin. Yeah, I wasn't a well child.
Why can't we make that kid? Where's our kid that goes, hey, can you get Carlin jamming in New York on the DVD again on this long flight?
Well, maybe we can. I mean, I think I was 4 when I began that obsession, so we've got another year with our baby.
Little baby Meredith watching the Carlin.
Right.
Why, like, you got into show business at such a young age. Like, most kids don't know what the hell they're doing. But, like, at 7, 8 years old, like, you were filming TV pilots. Like, what made you... I'm saying that's a weird age, because I know your parents didn't push you.
No, they hated it.
So, like, what made you go, I want to be in show business? I said that, like, I was in Ballet of the Dolls. I want to be in show business, and I can't wait.
No, you said... What is it? Oh, come on. I'm having an abortion and I can't wait from Polyester. That was
that's Polyester?
Yeah, I believe so.
What's Valley of the Dolls is
Yes, Mother. Yeah.
I'm doing my breast exercises.
I'm doing my bust exercises. Yes, Mother. I know, Mother. Oh, to hell with it. Let him droop.
You pointed out to me when we were watching Ballet of the Dolls, you rewound the scene, and you said, who's on the phone? Do you know the actress's name?
Sharon Tate.
It's Sharon Tate. And you said, watch this again. And we watched it again. And you go, isn't that amazing? And I completely had no idea what...
She does not pause for the unseen mother.
Yeah.
Hi, Mother. Yes, Mother. Yes, Mother. I'm doing exactly what you're saying. Yes, Mother. I am doing all my bust exercises. I know, Mother. I'm not getting any younger. Good night, Mother. Click. And then she walks over to the mirror and says, oh, to hell with it. Let him droop.
Yeah, it took me 3 viewings, and then you had to spell it out, which is normal for our relationship, for you to point out some comedy that I don't understand, and you go...
It wasn't intentional comedy, it was more like just poor acting.
Right, but the fact that I went, wow, she's on the phone with her mom, what's the problem? And you're like...
Bust exercises, what do you want from her?
You were like, no, but there's no room for the mom to be talking at all. And then we watched it again.
It was a monologue.
And sure enough, she goes, hello? Yes, Mother. Of course. Yes. Yeah, I'm doing fine. I'm eating. It just went on and on for like 4 minutes. And you pointed out to me that there's no room for the mom to speak, which is what you already said, and I'm just repeating what you said. So what made you, never stopped me before, what made you get into show business?
Well, I grew up in Santa Monica, California, where when you grow up in California, show business is an actual thing. It's a real thing. It's not just something, it's not a pipe dream, and someday I'll go and I'll load up my, Toyota Camry and put my $1,000 that I gathered from my job at Forever 21, and I'll get out there and I'll get an agent and my headshot's done. Like, when you live in LA, it's a reality.
Right.
People are filming on your street. And the first thought was, I was very small, I was about 2, and I was obsessed with John Ritter, and he was always going down to the Regal Beagle to meet a little redhead. And I was madly in love with John Ritter at 2, because again, I'm not a well woman, and I was not a right child. And in my head,
just so you know, 2 seems like you're exaggerating.
No, I was talking, and
you knew at 2 that you were in love with John Ritter.
Well, I knew that he made me laugh. I knew he was handsome, and I knew that I liked him flopping around. I mean, I was a huge, I like Bert from Mary Poppins. I like Dick Van Dyke. I like that. I don't know. I was strange. I am strange. At any rate, he was always going to meet.
You are strange. I will give you that.
I'm very strange.
I'll say something. Yes.
So he was always going down to the Regal Beagle to meet a little redhead, and in my brain I thought, well, I'm little, and indeed I am a redhead, so why can that not be me? And then I started saying to my parents, I would see child actors on TV around 3, 4, and I remember saying to my mother, these people are horrible. These children are horrible. Look at them. And my mom kind of laughed, and I would ask to be in show business. My parents, it was just a flat out no, because, my father's a rocket scientist, my mother's this English major, and the idea of having a child who, in show business was like probably a nightmare, I would assume. And so I pecked until finally they said, we'll put you in a dancing school to get your performance out. And an agent came to the dancing school and said, will you be a professional dancer and actor? And my folks said, yeah, we'll let you go on one audition, and you'll get your heart broken, and then it'll be out of your system, and then you can do something real with your life. And it backfired because I got the job. So
what was the job? Your first job ever?
Little movie called Mac and Me.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
But you're making light of it, but like my first job was washing dishes at the Verona Diner. Like your first job.
Well, you were an older person. I mean, I was in the 3rd grade.
Most third graders. That's my point. Most third graders don't get into show business on their first try.
Yeah, I got lucky. Also, by the time I was old, 8, 9, whatnot, I wanted to be in show business because all I wanted to be was anything but myself.
Because you didn't like yourself?
I didn't. No, yeah, self-loathing, huge amount of self-loathing, and also if I got into show business and I was lucky enough to get hired, I could wear someone else's clothes and say someone else's words and have someone else's name and yeah, I guess it all stems from self-loathing. It seems like that's kind of show business in general, though. It's either you have a huge ego or none at all.
And you have neither. You have no ego and you have no self-esteem.
Pretty much.
I want to hear a great story about you and a dolphin condom, but first, everybody, listen to these fantastic commercials.
I'm going to say something that's going to surprise you guys. You ready for this? You should be snacking more. You need to be snacking more. What's wrong with you, JJ? How can you tell me to snack more? I'm going to get fat. No, you're not, because I am hooking you up with naturebox.com. You guys know me. I lost 12 pounds, man. I look good. And you know what I did? Naturebox.com reached out to me, and they sent me all these treats, delicious, delicious treats. And I eat a lot of them, and I don't feel guilty about eating them because they're better for me. Natural, zero trans fat, zero high fructose corn syrup. These are things I didn't know when I started my diet, but now I know, and I'm telling you, I'm down 12 pounds. You'll even find snacks that are low on sugar, non-GMO, and without gluten, and they will ship it to you for free. No more hungriness, no more crankiness. Now I'm going to make you really happy. If you try naturebox.com right now, you're going to get 50% off your first box. How about that? You get delicious treats and bro. Seriously? Half off? Naturebox.com/MOHR, naturebox.com/more. You should be snacking, but you got to snack smarter. Stay full, stay strong. Do what I do. Go to naturebox.com/more. Get 50% off. These people are awesome. They're going to give it to you half off. That's how good it is. naturebox.com/more. That's naturebox.com/more.
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Sam Tucker woke to find crop circles in his cornfield that spelled out the word Geico. Was this a message sent by aliens? Sam went to Geico.com and saved hundreds of dollars with great discounts. He woke the next day to find new crop patterns had formed. They spelled out, "You the man." It seems the aliens were pleased indeed.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Warriors, what's up? It's your boy, me, J Mohr, and I'm excited, extremely excited to tell you about my new smarter home security, Simply Safe. I didn't think home security could be this easy. I've wanted a system to protect my home for years, but it's always been a real pain in my ass. Alarm companies, it's always the same old story. Aggressive sales guys, ridiculous hardwire systems, the long-term lock-in contract. I would never sign one. I didn't have one, but now my house is safe. Simply Safe, simply with an I, SIMPLI. Simply Safe has my house on lockdown. People come to my door, the front yard gets lit up like an operating room, and they hit the deck. I can't tell you how easy this is. I went online, customized my system. A few days later, boom, it's at my doorstep. And I'm not a tech guy at all, but I swear they helped me get it up and running in 20 minutes. Best part, no contract at all. Around-the-clock protection, $15. Most guys charge 3 times that, and I can leave this deal whenever I want. Like I said, no contract. I can tap out whenever I want, but I'm not gonna, because Simply Safe is great. I am positive that I'm sticking with Simply Safe. If you guys want to have the exact same protection as me at the fake mustache studio house, it's so easy. Go to simplysafej.com. Simply is SIMPLI, safe, simplysafej.com, and you'll get an exclusive 10% off. It's only $15, and they're still going to take 10% off. simplysafej.com.
Okay, you and I being married, we don't need to wear contraception because, well, if you did, it would be weird if you walked around with a condom. However, we were in Las Vegas. First time you and I ever went to Las Vegas, you took condoms out of the minibar. They call it an intimacy kit, and you immediately put them on my feet.
Well, yeah. Where they belong. As God intended.
As God intended. And that's when I knew, wow, I'm dealing with somebody way fucking funnier than any other member of the female species.
Well, I don't know if it's funny so much as mentally ill.
Well, to a comic, when a hot chick goes, hey, look at these condoms, give me your feet, and you put them on like socks over my crazy ass feet.
Don't like, they feel, it's awesome though, right?
Yeah, this whole podcast is a public service announcement for your foot comfort and latex. Like, you really need to put condoms on your feet and try it. Even if you're a gal, go out there, get your...
Yeah, it's amazing.
And not
There's
magnums.
Nothing weirder.
Not magnums, that's cheating. Get a regular old condom and just stretch those puppies over your toots.
But be careful if you're lubricated. Do not walk on a tile floor, a hardwood floor. Keep it on carpet because you will hurt yourself.
But that's what's amazing to me is that you've done this so much that you actually know like the pitfalls of different condoms.
Of foot condoms.
Of foot condoms. Have you ever used like novelty condoms? Because when you go, you don't know this in the lady. I don't think they have it in the ladies' room across America, but in every men's room above the urinal, there's like a condom dispenser, and one like this one glows in the dark, and like this one is ribbed for her pleasure. This one plays music. First of all, are they ribbed for your pleasure?
No.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Why?
But by the time they're stretched over a penis, well, I mean, maybe if you had like a thumb for a dick, you could actually see the ribs. But once it is placed over a penis of any normal human man size, even a small one, the ribbing is gone. It's stretched out, which makes it just a flat condom like any other. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've worn one.
And so
there is still like a little barely
is there like ridges, and it doesn't really make any sense because that's the part that's going inside of you, and that's the inside of you part. Sure, it's delightful, but I don't think that that barely noticeable little ridge is going to bring this huge joyous occasion for you.
The biggest orgasm of my life was when a man had sex with me with his thumb dick and a ribbed condom.
It was amazing.
There's no disclaimer on the box. Have you ever used like novelty condoms?
Yes, I have.
Really?
Yes.
Why don't I know this?
Because you never asked.
I guess that's fair enough.
I was a kid, and I was with not a kid.
Hold on. Yeah.
I was a teenager.
I was gonna say because you're talking about being 8 and 9, being old. So when you were a kid,
I have no sense of space and time.
Do you know how old you are?
No, I'm not 40. I've been telling people I'm 40.
No, I like how you go, I'm not 40.
Because I think I am.
You're 35.
Okay, I'm 35. Try it again.
Do you know how old you are?
35.
Wow, that's great.
So
You're ready for your SATs now.
I'm fully ready. I was with a boy that I loved, but I was always very conscientious of condom use because I, as a little girl, had a dear friend, a young boy, had died of AIDS, and he had not contracted it through sexual, intercourse. He contracted it through a blood transfusion.
I think people should know.
Ryan White.
You were actually friends with Ryan White.
Yes. I played his sister in a movie of the week.
Can you tell the house story in North Carolina?
No.
Okay. All right.
No, that's too disgusting. No, condom story. No, that's class.
All right.
I was always very conscientious of condoms, and I know that a lot of people, my age was sort of, I was too young to really be aware of it, but because I had lost someone I loved to AIDS, I was aware of it, and I was bizarrely conscientious. And so I was with the boyfriend, and
so even with your longtime boyfriend, you still use condoms?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, I mean, until I was on the pill.
Oh, wow. All right, fair enough.
But I've only not used protection with people that I lived with. I was always very, like I said, conscientious.
Vigilant.
To a bizarre level. So, yes, I was with a boy, and I loved him, he loved me, everything was swell, and, you know, you're a kid, and you're having sex many times a night, like lots of times a night, and you buy a pack, and I don't even know how many there are anymore, but, you know, I had a pack of 8 or whatever, and we went through them, and then we realized, oh, let's do it again, but we realized, hey, there's none left. However, a friend of ours had just recently returned from Hawaii and brought us all those fake flower leis and, you know, those hang loose ashtrays and whatnot, and dolphin condoms that are shaped like a dolphin.
Like, did it have fins?
Yes.
Really? Mm-hmm. Now that's like beyond ribbed for your pleasure. That's dorsal and pectoral.
Sure, but
that doesn't seem practical at all. It must hurt.
Well, it's not as if it's. I mean, it's made of latex, so it becomes immediately flattened. Then it goes in anywhere.
Fair enough.
It's not as if it's, you know, made of cement and it just gets stuck.
And it wasn't an actual dolphin.
You know what? I don't know.
All right.
At any rate, it was blue, bright blue, which should have, sign number 1, probably not a real condom. The other sign should have probably been that, like, on the package it said, "This is not a real condom." But what are you going to do?
One of those two.
It was one or the other. And so we used it, and about halfway through, we looked down and went, wow, there's no condom. And so then, of course, you scramble around, you look at the bed covers, you realize it's nowhere to be seen, which leaves you with a really upsetting realization that it can only be one place, and that is within you.
The dolphin condom was in your vagina?
Stuck.
It was in your hole?
Stuck, yes.
But, like, it wasn't hanging out. Like,
no.
Like, he had thrust it in. It was, like, in.
Like having sex like normal people, and it just slipped on up, and it just fucking flippered on up my uterus.
How about this? The dolphin lived there, and he was home by now.
And you know what? Yeah. And I will say this, my vagina is apparently not dolphin safe.
No, it's completely not dolphin. Don't ever buy my wife's vagina if you're down with like PETA or any animal organization, because it is the record is atrocious when it comes to animals, dolphins in particular.
Yeah. So it was stuck, and then of course, luckily I was with someone that I loved a lot, and it became, you know, after 15 minutes of like sheer utter panic, like are we gonna have to go to the emergency room, and I'm just gonna have to lay there, you know, legs akimbo with somebody with those, you know, that duck thing, or I don't know, big
tongs, big salad tongs.
Salad tongs, I was thinking, but then I was like, maybe there's big giant like clam tweezers. I don't know what the fuck you do to get.
Maybe you lure him out with fish like a real dolphin.
Maybe.
Just a little mackerel and wave it between your knees.
Maybe. But eventually I just sort of began laughing. You know what? I think it was a laughter that got that dolphin out.
Aww.
So it's a sweet story in the end.
Laughter is the best medicine.
It really is the best medicine when it comes to dolphin condoms. But I would say to anyone considering using a condom of that nature, it does not serve as a true condom. However, if you want to use it because it is hilarious to see on a penis, it is funny. Maybe just hold it in place. Have the guy like hold it against his body while he's having sex with you. So
just to look at.
Because it's funny, yeah.
Yeah, but don't put it on his penis.
No, he can put it on his penis. Just make sure he holds it in place while you're having sex. Don't let go of it. Like at the base.
Like he holds it like up against his chest.
No.
Look how funny this condom is as I have sex with you.
No, like hold it against the base.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it is.
Secure your dolphin condoms.
It was hilarious.
But for a moment, probably panic-inducing because there's a dolphin condom stuck inside your vagina.
Right, and of course I immediately go to, oh my God, this is going to get infected, and what if I turn to Richard Lewis? I'm thinking, there's going to be infections and costs involved. I go to the worst place involved. But then we started laughing, and then it was visible, and then it was, you had to pull it out manually with your fingers, and then it became one of the funnier things that ever happened to me.
Now that's, can we say that young man's name?
No.
All right. Let's put something to bed that a lot of people may or may not know. When I met you were no longer in a relationship.
No.
For a good 5 weeks. 5 weeks?
I think it was like 5 or 6, yeah.
5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And is there any way around saying the name?
No. I was Bobcat Goldthwait. I was engaged to him for a lot of years.
And when you hooked up with Bobcat Goldthwait, America was like mad.
Which I found just so absurd. I couldn't get it. I found everyone who was angered by it to be so incredibly obtuse. How could you be angry by two people that love each other?
And you always told me you fell in love with him because he was kind. Yeah.
He was kind.
But Bob, you and I have heard him go on stage.
Yeah, and say a lot of lousy things, which is, to each his own.
And he would say that you cheated on him with me.
Yeah.
And you guys broke up because you wanted to fuck a whole bunch of other dudes. And, taking swipes at my comedy and stuff like that. But the fact of the matter is, you cannot rewrite history. He broke up with you.
Yeah, he left me one morning. We'd been together
What was the fight?
There really wasn't one. I'm assuming he just got sick of me, which the self-loathing part of me goes, well, of course he did. But we'd been together for a lot of years, and
how many years?
I don't know. 8, 6, 8, 9, somewhere in there. A while.
A long time.
Yeah, a good chunk of time.
Okay.
And we had been, the night, he left me one morning, and that was it. He walked out the door, he grabbed the paper, I said, where are you going? And he said, to get my own place. And I fell on the floor of my kitchen, and I wept like a pussy until I finally crawled over to the phone, and I called my parents, and my parents came and picked me up, and I lived at my parents' house for 6 weeks like a loser.
But why would he, there had to have been a fight, why would he?
Not really, no. I don't fight, I don't yell, I don't.
And I know that from being with you for 8 years, that you don't, 9 years, really. There's no yelling ever, and there's really never an argument. You can't argue with you because you just always say, okay.
And also, I'm a person where let's break up and let's really go if you really want to go down, I don't want to have those nights that couples have where they scream and they faux break up and they sleep in other places for a night or two and then reconnect. It's always just sort of a no. You don't walk out the door saying I'm leaving unless you're going to stay left. So he left. However, the night prior, it was Halloween season, and so the night prior we went to a Halloween store, and we were putting on wigs and stupid jailbird costumes that are just ridiculously
hot jailbird, probably.
No,
sexy jailbird.
No, pretty much just plain old uninspired. Why are you even putting that on? It's so stupid. Jailbird costumes.
Oh.
And we were looking at stuff, and I went to one end of the shop. He was in another, and I found this costume, and I swear to God, I struck gold. I've never been so happy. I don't think I've ever been so pleased with myself.
Was it Sexy Pirate?
No.
Nurse?
No. It was a piece of poop.
What?
It was like a poop suit. It was a full-on poop suit. like
What do you mean a poop suit?
It was like a tube, but with a hole cut out for your face and your arms, and then you just walked around. I mean, your feet, obviously.
Like a log.
Like a log with poop.
There's a fucking poop. You can go out as poop at Halloween?
You could that year.
How come I've never seen this? Like, why isn't this the bestseller every year? Why are we still wearing Nixon masks?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Holy shit!
But I was so excited, and the guy that I, Bob, the man that I loved at that point, he was looking at wigs and whatnot, and I was saying, "Stay there, don't go around the corner," because I was so pleased with myself. And I went into a dressing room and I put it on, and I was like, I don't think I've ever felt so good about how I looked.
You were dressed as a log of shit.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I look fantastic.
Yeah, no, I'm not like, this is like one of the best things I've ever heard. I didn't know this was available to the public.
It was, and it was amazing. And so I was like, wait there! Like for the big reveal.
Fuck yeah!
And so, like, I looked in the mirror and I was like, should I do like a dance, come up with like a little poop dance, or I don't know. And then I realized it needed no embellishment, and so I just said, you ready? And he said, yeah. And I opened the dressing room door, and there I was, a log of shit. And he loved it. He thought it was fantastic, as did I. We bought the poop suit. I wore it out of the store.
You walked out of the store wearing a log of poop suit.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would, actually.
I mean, it's like when you get new shoes. Don't you want to wear them out of the store?
Do you put on, like, once you get home, do you put on, like, brown tights and, like, brown long-sleeve shirts to make
No. I would have had to buy all that.
Okay.
And it was late. It was night. I couldn't go to the dance skin store to get tights and whatnot.
What I'm getting from you in this story is that the poop suit, as great as I think it is, it's better and it stands alone and it needs no long-sleeve brown.
It doesn't need any accoutrement. It is.
Thank you.
It's a thing of beauty. It's a thing of beauty.
Yeah, it is.
It's like Eve Flying Blue. It's all you need. It's simple.
I'm with you.
And comparing my poop suit to Eve Flying Blue.
Yeah.
Although I will say the poop suit was almost more beautiful. So he was happy. I was happy. And I thought
the night before you broke up?
Yeah. So I thought I was so goddamn funny,
Well, you were.
Well, no.
Everyone listening right now is like, that is like the funniest thing. Literally the funniest shit I've ever heard.
But also, the minute you think you're so funny, you're also kind of disgusting. Like,
yeah, but you get a pass when it's a poop suit.
Sure, for a minute, but then
how was there one left?
There were several.
What's wrong with this country?
A lot.
All right.
So I wore my poop suit out of the store. I think we went to eat. We picked food up, and I went into a 7-Eleven. I kept it on all night until I went home, and went to sleep and had a lovely night. Everything was romantic, whatnot. Next morning.
Hold on. Big question. Do you make love in the poop suit?
No.
No?
No.
All right. I would think that'd be part of the whole poop suit experience.
Well, it's not a sexual poop suit. I wasn't like a ball gag in my mouth. I wasn't like a geek poop.
All right.
And so...
Fair questions, I thought.
I would not have sex in a poop suit.
I would think eventually you reach an age where you pretty much have had sex in anything.
Well...
we digress.
So I removed my poop suit before having sex. And so then we went to bed and laughing, giggling. Everything was great, I thought. And the next morning I was making his breakfast when he came downstairs and said he was leaving. And I cried big.
Wait, you're making breakfast?
Mm-hmm. And
so none of this adds up to me.
Me neither. I don't know. I still don't know. I never spoke to him again. That's not true. I spoke to him one more time.
So you have a poop suit, you have a big funny laugh, you make love, the next morning you're actually making his breakfast, and then he comes downstairs.
Dressed, and grabs the paper and says, I'm going to go look for an apartment.
And nothing happened between poop suit, sex, and breakfast?
No.
Now, if I didn't know you, if I didn't know that you were a completely all the time honest human being, like, all right, if you were a guy and one of my buddies I would say, bro, you're leaving something out. Nobody just walks out after a poop suit party, especially with a hot chick making her breakfast.
Well, obviously there'd been bumps in the road. It's not as if this, we've been lucky thus far, knock wood. But most relationships, we'd never had like a break or a breakup or any even really like a big fight or anything. But there's always stuff in a relationship, so it's not like we were just ice skating along. I mean, it was.
But certainly not.
It was life.
Yeah.
Oh God, no.
Okay.
And so then, no, not at all. And so we went to. I thought it was great. I was in a shit suit and I was making his breakfast, and he came downstairs dressed and grabbed the paper and said he was leaving, and then I sobbed like a.
How did he say he was leaving?
I said, where are you going? And he said, I'm leaving. And I said, why? And he said, I'm going to go look for an apartment. And I said, why? And he said, because I'm leaving. And then I cried and said, please don't, and all that shit. And then he did. And then I actually fell on the floor like in a movie. like I had the vapors or some shit. I actually blacked out on the floor. And I stayed there. And this was the morning. And by the time I could finally move, it was nighttime. And before I crawled to the phone to call my parents, in the corner of my living room was my sad poop suit. And
well, now he's a sad poop suit.
Well, it became sad because now it's an empty poop suit. Where my face would have been is just empty, and the poop suit's in the corner. That had been flung off the night prior to get to bed and whatnot. And laying there in my state of, I don't even know what I was a zombie. I actually looked in the corner and went, oh my God, it's true, what I've always believed, but it's an actual I am a piece of shit. I literally am a piece of shit. I got left, I feel like a piece of shit. I opened my eyes, there's my shit suit from the night prior. So I was an actual piece of shit.
You were literally in a poop suit the night prior, laughing, doing poop suit dances, laughing.
Yeah, and then I got dumped. So I was literally a piece of shit.
This is horrible.
No, it's not. He's happily married to a beautiful lady, and I'm with you, so it all ended up the way that it should. But what I remember, I actually did tell you this story when we first met, because what you were most angry about was that I did not get custody of the poop suit.
Yeah, that really burns my ass.
So you're acting.
Well, for the listeners, I'm leading the witness. If you will. But so to this day, so you pack all your bags.
No, my father packed a duffel of jeans and pajamas and a toothbrush.
And who owned the house? We both did, right?
Both our names were on the deed, yes.
And so was it ever discussed, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that, or did you just have to get the hell out of there?
I never went back to the house again. I never saw the house again. I spoke to him one more time after that.
And so the house and the poop suit no longer in your possession?
No.
So do you think he came back and just packed up the poop suit and threw it out, or you think he owns it?
No. I stayed at my parents for a while, and until I met you, I was living there, and I never went back home. And he lived in the house with. Yeah, he lived in our house. He stayed at the house, and I stayed in my mom's bed.
That doesn't seem fair.
Well, nothing is. So.
But like E.E. Cummings said, if I ever meet the man that broke your heart, I'll shake his hand.
It all worked out.
Because here we are, happily married, with a child, and actively pursuing another one.
Right. Doing our best to make another.
You want to wait, but I'm I'm getting old. You don't know how old you are. I know exactly how old I am, and if we wait any longer, I'm gonna have a cane at their high school graduation.
That's not true.
I'm not Tony Randall.
You're not?
No.
Oh, fuck.
I've told you that from the day we met. I am not Tony Randall.
That's grounds for annulment, and you know it.
You know what? I am Tony Randall. I'm Tony Randall, and I approve of this message.
You should.
And this podcast. So, for the record, you were dumped, not the other way around, no matter how many times he says it in his show. And this isn't a slam on him.
No.
But, like, when people hear him out on the road or on other people's podcasts, you can listen with your own ear holes and go, no, bro. I got it from the I was going to say the horse's mouth.
Yeah,
but
no, not the horse's.
I got it from the person whose horses hates mouth.
Well put.
That you were actually dumped on.
Yeah.
Because I heard him say on stage, she dumped me, and I was in the driveway in my underwear going, baby, come back. I can do a bad walking.
Yeah,
and
that didn't happen.
He said, I wanted to have a big wedding, and she wanted to fuck a whole bunch of other guys.
Yeah, that didn't happen either. I mean, maybe I wanted to after he walked out. Prior to that.
Yeah, that was your plan, and then I put a kibosh on your plan. I really was not a catch in your... Like, I don't think you thought, and I said this on the Barry Katz episode, and I spoke for you. I don't think when you left a relationship with a middle-aged comic with a child, you thought, all right, give me 4 weeks and I can meet another middle-aged comic with a child who also just got divorced.
Yeah, that was a nightmare. I was, like I said, I was living in my mom's bed, and like my parents had to feed me and dress me, and it was just all too weird. The whole thing was like a nightmare. And I was, hanging out with random dudes, nice guys, whatever, doing whatever you do when you're a robot and you're broken and trying to keep your brain and your genitals busy. And so then I met you, and before I left for work, my mother said, who's your guest star? And I said, Jay Mohr, this comedian guy. I didn't know who you were because I fell asleep during the sports movie that you did. And she said, he's a comic, he's going to fall in love with you. And I said, Mom, you think that every comedian I ever meet will fall in love with me.
She's right, because they all do. And you don't think highly of yourself, but I can name 10 guys that I know are in love with you.
You're very sweet, honey.
But it's true.
Well,
what I said on the Barry Katz episode of More Stories, that when I saw you, it was lust at first sight. First lust, because I saw you across the way, and it was just the body, the hair, those beautiful lips, and the whole package. I was like, whoa! And then when we started acting together, you were quoting like Pee-wee's Big Adventure to me, and like there was no joke I could get past you. Like it was like trying to like do math problems in front of a math professor. It was absurd of me. But what did you see? I'm not fishing for compliments, but I think people want to know because they heard my side of it. Like when you met me, because everything was a glaring, don't go here.
That's all I thought.
Was what?
This is a horrible idea. But I knew that it was an inevitability. I knew that it was going to happen.
Why?
Just
because I didn't act right. I was a weirdo. But like, what was it about me? And again, I'm not fishing for compliments because
I don't know why do certain birds mate. I don't know. You just know. They know, and that's how it goes. You just know. It is what it is, and it was almost like fuck, like Jesus Christ, because I mean, after a day of working with you, I knew that that's what it was going to be. I knew that was going to be. I knew that you were my future, and I knew that I didn't want it. I did not want my future yet. I didn't want it yet. I was dead inside, but I met you, and I knew that was that, and. It wasn't like I didn't have that experience of that heart fluttering and all that. It was more just a complete and utter knowing. And
you knew when you met me that you were going to be with me?
Yeah, and I also knew that I was also pissed. It's like, Jesus Christ, really, dude? I just spent I'm half my life.
Oh, because you wanted to be single.
Or at least with someone who was not a divorced comedian with a child. And, you know what I mean? I at least wanted to be with someone whose resume was different. You know what I mean? Let's try something. Obviously that didn't work out. Maybe turn the car around. But I knew as soon as I met you that was it. That I had no say in the matter.
Well, I'm sure glad you didn't have any say in the matter.
I didn't.
Because I've never been happier in my life.
Me neither.
And by the way, it was my wife's idea for us to do this podcast. Not this particular one, because I twist her arm to get her to talk on the information superhighway. But to actually have my own podcast, that's all because of my wife. She said, just do it yourself, and then go to faraway towns, and people will like your podcast and come see your stand-up comedy shows. Talking to you, Edmonton and Denver, and it's true, and you were right. So everybody out there listening, you got this gal that loved Jack Ritter. You got a little redhead from the Regal Beagle to thank for that.
Jack Tripper.
What did I say?
Jack Ritter.
I said Jack Ritter?
John Ritter.
His friends probably called him Jack, I'd like to think. Like in downtime, like, hey, Jack.
No. Believe me, I've done plenty of the True Hollywood Story look back on the life of John Ritter. No one called him Jack.
I did a celebrity softball game with him at the All-Star game, and he was very nice.
After I told that story to an interviewer once, I was probably, 25, and then he said, I'm actually interviewing John Ritter tomorrow. Do you want me to tell him the story? And I said, sure, he won't know who the hell I am. And he did tell the story. And then the same interviewer a year later interviewed me again for some other goony thing. I don't even know what it was. And he said, do you remember that you told me about the story about John Ritter? And then I said, yeah. And he said that he knew you, and that he was a fan of yours. And then he broke out into this huge grin, and that meant the world to him, and he thought you were so funny. And I'm sure it was a bunch of bullshit, but wow, it was delicious bullshit.
Anybody listening that wants to send us poop suits? No, you know what? We don't want poop suits.
I don't want a poop suit.
It's going to remind us of that horrible day when your soul was crushed.
Yeah,
That's an amazing story.
I thought I was going to die.
You think you're a piece of shit the way your hard drive was installed.
Right.
Then you dressed as a piece of shit.
Right.
And then you were walked out on, and you went, I am a piece of shit.
I looked up, the tears running down my cheeks, and there is an actual piece of shit
that you were in.
That I was dancing in like a fool up and down Ventura Boulevard, like, hey, let's go to CPK, let's go to California Pizza Kitchen, look at me, I'm a piece of poop.
And then he proved it.
I was a piece of shit, yeah.
Well, you're not. You're the best.
You're nice.
And